Okay guys, over the past year or so, we've had more issues with our electrical grid than I can remember. And it's been all over the country. I mean, you see these massive power outages everywhere. And typically we have power outages here when there are storms. This past year, there were power outages in the area due to some people shooting up a substation with guns. I mean, it's ridiculous the things that go on these days. One thing that concerns me is if the power were to go out for an extended period of time, even a few days, what's going to happen to all the cold storage in our house? And I have messed around with different solar battery packs in the past. And what I'm going to show you today is unbelievable with how far this technology has come since I've started doing videos on these alternative power sources. But the system I'm going to show you today can power the whole house. If there were a long-term grid down situation, I would think that we would all want to have some sort of power resources, at least during an adjustment period. Everybody has cold storage, a lot of their food is in cold storage. There are a lot of reasons why you would want to have your power up and running as quickly as possible, even when it comes to communications, when there's storm outages or other things that could be going on. If you could get some sort of temporary power backup, you're better off. Now, because we have, at this point, we've accumulated a lot of solar battery combinations. We have 2 sets of the Rockpals batteries with the 100-watt solar panels. Those do pretty good. We utilize them a lot when we're traveling to charge all of our video equipment. They're easy to carry around, easy to handle, but they lack when it comes to being able to operate power equipment. If you need to take something into your pasture to work on something and you need a power tool back there, they can't power even a coffee maker, really, if you want to get down to it. They're really good at powering up things like, oh, I don't know, your TV or your computer or your backup communications, whatever it is that you want. But they're not going to turn on your microwave. They might be able to sustain a refrigerator for a little while, but chances are you're going to burn something out with that setup. Now, the other thing that we have a power need for is our RV. We've been working on an old RV for our nonprofit to get on the road. It has a gas generator in it, but I'd like to find other power sources other than a fuel generator so that when we're out on the road and we have to boondock on a ranch for a few days, we have all the power we need to charge all of our equipment. And again, we have some of those smaller battery packs, but it would be nice to just have the ability to plug things in directly to the camper and that sort of thing. Now, we did in the past, we did get some smaller Rockpals gas power generators. Those powered the RV pretty well. They're 1,500 amps or 1,500 watts each. When we have a combiner that you can combine the 2 generators together and get over 3,000, and that worked for the RV. It seemed to struggle to power the air conditioning units. To be honest with you, I wasn't getting a full 30 amps out of that. It was a struggle. It kept tripping the generators and you'd have to go out and reset them. So the system that I'm going to show you today is got multiple purposes for us. The first and big purpose is going to be powering your whole entire house when there's an outage. Now, what I have here we have 2 EcoFlow Delta Pros. These have been around. You may have seen some of these in videos. One of these will comfortably power an entire RV with the air conditioning. And we have older air conditionings on our RV. They're ancient air conditionings, and it powered them up perfectly fine. I mean, we had no problem whatsoever running our RV off of just one of these. My long-term plan is to remove the generator and build an encasing that can slide in and out where I can actually set these EcoFlows in there and have them where the generator is and just plug into whichever one is charged. The good thing about this setup is that I have a 400-watt solar panel that goes with it. And so I can plug in one of these generators that I'm not using on the RV to charge it up while we're boondocking on a ranch somewhere. So the 400-watt solar panel is a nice thing to have. It's pretty heavy. It's a little cumbersome to move around, but it folds up nicely, and it basically creates its own frame to stand on, so you can turn it and angle it with the sun. So that's a nice feature to have. The other nice thing about these is that they connect to the internet and then to your phone if you so choose to do so. So if you have it in an RV and it's an outside compartment and you're wondering how you're doing on your power supply, should you switch it up, you could just easily pull up your phone and you could check the status of each one, how much power is going out, how much power is coming in if you have one on your solar panel, and how much power is left in each battery. So that is a great feature to have. You can check on your batteries remotely. You don't have to walk outside if you have them hooked up to your house to check on them. I do like having some of those features when especially in the RV when we're traveling. But even if the power were to go out here and we were to use this as a backup system on our home, I would like the ability to be able to know my usage in real time so that I can determine whether or not we need to cut back on power usage during certain times to make the batteries last longer. This entire system that I'm about to show you, you could actually add on. They have additional batteries. You could actually add on enough batteries to power your home for an entire week or several weeks if you had to. But obviously it would cost more. For this review, they only sent us the two main inverters and the solar panel. So I couldn't do a review with the batteries. I tried to talk them into it, but it wasn't in the cards this time. Next time though, right guys? Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is I've kind of showed you how it worked on the RV. And like I said, we ran the RV with it, with the air conditioning going for several hours. I will say that an air conditioner will put a drain on the battery. We went from about 93% to about 56% after several hours. So if you're gonna be doing this and running an air conditioning unit, I would expect to say that you could probably run that air conditioning unit for the hottest parts of the day, but then you'll be charging one of these batteries while you switch over to the other one. I would say that you probably get about 7 to 8 hours running an RV HVAC off of one of these batteries, if it's an older one. I've been working on trying to get us some newer HVACs, which are much more energy efficient. I'd be curious to see how long that extends the battery life of this. But they're expensive and I haven't gotten that far as the sponsorship goes. So before we test this thing out, I have not tested it out myself yet. I'd like to just kind of show you some of the features that are on these things because they're loaded with features. Okay, so feature number one, these weigh a considerable amount. They weigh about 100 pounds actually. So they come with a nice little kind of built-in dolly system so that you can roll these around. I highly suggest you do that. Being a he-man that I am, I walked up to one that I was using it to power our workshop so I could do an interview with Ron Foster. That'll be coming out on our channel. But I lifted one of these up one-handed and just threw it onto the porch and pulled the neck muscle. It wasn't that good. But so definitely take advantage of using that. So on the front of this, you have two USB-A ports, and then you have two USB fast charge ports. Those work really well. I've charged a few things on them just to test them out. You also have a USB-C 100 watt on each side. So basically you have all the charging that you would need or that we need for a lot of our camera equipment. You also have 4 20 amp plugs. Well, it says 20 amp max, so maybe that's 20 amps between all of those plugs. And then you have a 30 amp outlet here that is for your RV if you're using an RV. These have a lot of information on them for you. So right now, based on my power consumption, it says 10. I don't know if you can see that. I'm at 100%, so I've got 10 days at 100% charge. I've heard that you can leave these fully charged at 100% for up to a year, and the battery will still be fully charged. You get about 3,500, well, they advertise 3,500 recharges from some of the reviews I've read on the Delta Pros, that's actually closer to 6,500 before they lost 80% of the energy of these. So if you think about how many times you can recharge this thing, and it still be just as powerful as it was the day you got it, it's pretty amazing. This is EcoFlow has an amazing battery technology. It's the newest technology on the market. Nobody really competes with EcoFlow yet when it comes to these smaller inverters. You just push that button to turn it on, and now we've got AC usage, and it's slightly changing with the AC on. The days that it says that I have has dropped to 6 to 7. So just by turning on the AC, you're going to start draining the battery more. Now, I'm not actually using anything right here. I think it's just calculating, okay, if you use AC, it's going to AC power, it's going to utilize more, it's going to run out in less days. Inside this panel here, you've got different 12-volt hookups. There's also, a remote option to operate it on remote. Right now, standby is off. And basically what happens is if these turn off, which they turn off automatically on their own if they're not being used, then when I try and pull it up on my app, it's not going to activate it and I can't see anything. It just shows me the power off. If that is turned on, when I pull it up on my phone app, I'll be able to access this and turn it on remotely. And you've got some pairing options in there. So it's a pretty standard control panel that you have there. Okay, so on the back side, you have a plug-in, so you could plug it in to charge it up. That's the fastest way to charge these. They can charge completely. Mine have charged completely within less than 2 hours. So that is pretty good. And that was starting at around 29%. It might have been even less than that. It might have been an hour. You can change the speed in which it charges from slow to custom. Now, the reason why you might want to do that is because I noticed these will pull 1,500 watts while they're charging. So if you have to charge it off of a system that can't produce that much energy, you probably want to change this switch down to slow so it charges at a slower speed. And then you also have your solar input, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have a solar panel, you just plug it in right there. So down below here, you have 2 extra battery ports. And this is where, so just with this unit, I could add 2 extra batteries. The batteries are about the same size as the unit. And that would triple the amount of power that I have off of one of these units. So imagine with 2 of these units, with 4 extra batteries, you could have power for quite some time. Clearly, the system is expandable. You can expand the system to have enough power to power your home for quite some time if that was a direction you were trying to go with this. Now, to power your home, you got to figure each one of these produces, I think it's about 3,500 watts. If you combine them, you get about 7,200 watts. So what we have here is a plug, and what this plug does is it goes into the side of the EcoFlow. Put one on this side, and then the other one will go into this side over here. And by doing this, I have just combined the power between these two. There's an on-off button here. All of these have on-off buttons separate, so you would have to turn those on. We'll wait until we get it hooked up to the house. But this is how the system connects. Now, what you have right there is a typical 30 amp generator plug. So we're going to use a 30 amp generator cord to connect it to the house. And this system at 7,200 watts, that's more powerful than any generator we have on our property right now. So I'm kind of excited to see how well this works. I'm gonna unplug it to move it closer to the house because I'm weak. Well, now I'm ready to hook up. Whew, it's getting hot out here quick. Okay, so now I'm ready to hook up. If you guys do not have one of these generator inlet boxes, this is a 30 amp inlet box. I did a video on how to install this the other day. I would highly suggest you get one and put one on your house, because even if you're just staying with gas generators, this is a really nice thing to have. But it's going to work with these batteries, and I'll show you in just a moment. Before I shut this off, I should make sure my wife's not doing laundry or something. I'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is power this off. Even if my power had shut down, because I have this interlock switch, I have to turn the power off. You don't wanna backfeed a generator into the power grid. So power it off before you do anything else. Before I flip this on, there's a couple things that I did do. Is I went in and I flipped the breakers to our air conditioning units. We live in a 3,000 square foot house. We have a 200 amp service. You know, my goal, if the power goes out, is not to power up our air conditioning units and everything else. My goal is to just power up the essentials that we have to have. I don't know that this would handle our larger air conditioning unit because it's on a 60 amp breaker, so I'm guessing it wouldn't. Before I turn this on, I'm also just going to come in here and plug it in. This is my first time doing this, so if it fails, well, it's gonna happen right here on TV or YouTube. Now I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna turn on each unit. I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna turn on the AC on-off button. And I heard a lot of boop, 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 and clicking. Okay, now for the ultimate test. Everything's powered on. I'm gonna turn on my 30 amp breaker and we'll go inside and see if we have power. Okay, so we're inside the foyer of the house and let's just test light. Lights are working just fine. Right now, let me put this on screen record so you can see what I'm seeing. Hold on, my wife taught me how to do this the other day, and I have forgotten. No, I just took a picture of the screen. There we go, okay. So, now we're on screen record, you can see exactly what I'm seeing. Delta Pro number 1 is at 100%, the other one's at 84%. Currently on number 1, I'm only pulling about 240 watts. And on number 2, I'm pulling 763 watts. I wonder why one would be pulling harder than the other. That's a good question for somebody other than myself. But together, I'm not pulling at all close to the max of what these things could handle. 7,200 watts is what they could handle. So I could hear my freezer turning back on, my fridge is back on, the internet's on, and that actually, in order to have the connectivity to the generators, I had to have the internet turned on. TV works fine. It's literally right now, it's as if the power never went off. Fire stick is on Troy. I feel like that's an old movie. Out of Range, we tried watching that again. It is so slow and deep and serious. Okay, just for giggles, let's see if we can do another screen recording. Let's see what happens when we turn on something like a dryer. Just got it set for mixed loads. All right. Now my wattage on one has peaked up to 3,500 watts. Wattage on the other is picked up to 3,000 watts. So the dryer is going to just about max it out. In case you guys were ever wondering how much energy your dryer uses, that's it right there. You want to save on your electric bill. Holy cow, put a clothesline outside. Okay, so I'm going to test the well. Let's just make sure we've got this on record. And okay, I definitely see a spike. From the well turning on, but the well is very little spike. Turn it off. Oh wait, there's the spike. Yeah. I was gonna say, I knew the well was gonna be a bigger spike than that. Turn it off and see what happens. Boom. Well repressurized. Another thing you might want to use, excuse the construction zone here, we're working on building out more pantries in our house. We built this house pretty much from scratch. It was an old farmhouse we completely reframed, and it's been a long, ongoing project. But in this pantry over here, what we have is another stand-up freezer. We actually are running, right now, I'm running a full-size refrigerator with a freezer underneath, a freezer here, and a freezer downstairs. So we've got three freezers and a refrigerator running right now. So there's a lot that's running on the circuit. Again, it's not really pulling that much energy. So you could probably use one of those 500-watt solar batteries and power a fridge or even a couple of these things. When you open them up and you close them, it's probably going to increase the power output a little bit. Not by much. All right, so now I'm just gonna turn the microwave on, set it for about a minute, see what my wattage jumps up to. It's not moving at all on that one. Whew. There's something about that one side that utilizes a lot more power than the other side. I'm wondering if I hooked something up wrong there, or, but no, because they both jumped up when I needed them to. So maybe it's just the way the technology works. As it maxes out one, it uses the other. Again, these are questions that I don't have answers to. But you can see we jumped up on one side to 2887, and the other side is still around 300 watts. So a microwave uses much less energy than your dryer does. See, the range is on. I think that's about it. I think I'm good showing the inside of my house to you guys. It's a little weird. So something else I want you to notice about these is just listen. Just a couple fans running. Nothing crazy. I'm just gonna check the power on the front and see if it's similar to what I was seeing on the app. Yeah, this one's just pulling a lot less energy for whatever reason. I'm not sure why that does it that way. But knowing that, if I were operating these, I'd probably want to swap it around after a while, just to make sure that I'm spreading my energy usage out evenly amongst them as far as power supply and running out. But listen to how quiet they are. Okay, so overall, I'm fairly impressed with the technology. It's worked fabulously so far. Everything that I need is powered up. What's nice about this system is that in a grid down situation, if the power was down for an extended period of time, I could have ways of charging those. I can hook them up to a generator, a 1500 watt generator, and charge them up in an hour or so, which gives me more life out of the gas in that generator. So I just have to run it for a couple hours to charge those up, and then I can unplug it, and it's not like running a generator all day. The other thing that I like about this system is how quiet it is. If the power were out for an extended period of time, going on days, weeks, months, and eventually if people figured out it wasn't coming back on again, the first thing they're gonna do is listen for generators, because wherever you hear the sound of a generator, you have supplies. You have cold food, you have power, you have electricity, you have things that you otherwise wouldn't have. So if you have a big gas power generator or a Generac just running in your yard constantly, everybody's gonna know what you have. If you have one of these systems, not many people are gonna know what you have. And if you just run it every now and then if you just run your generators every now and then to charge them up, then that helps as well. The other thing you could do is add on to these solar panels. You could actually get several 400 watt solar panels and line them up. If I plug it in right now, I'm just gonna get you know, between 200 and 400 amps, depending on where 400 watts, depending on where the sun is. And I could reposition that with my handy app. I could see if I'm losing wattage on the recharge and move it again. But you could also get more of these solar panels and have them lined up so that you could recharge your system faster. It'll take about a day on a 400 watt solar panel to charge one of those Delta Pros. So yes, they're very helpful in helping to maintain a charge, helping to get your charge back if you can sit around and wait and not open your fridge for a while. But they do take some time to recharge. So it doesn't hurt to have a gas-powered generator around that you just hook into those for an hour or so each day, recharge them, and those will last probably at the rate that they're going right now. I could tell you, hold on. Well, at the rate they're going right now, I've got about 9 hours and 30 minutes. If I had backup batteries, they'd last a substantial amount of time longer. I am curious though, I wanna see if I could hook up a solar panel while they're plugged in, because I know on some of my battery chargers, I can't run AC while I'm charging the you know, those smaller battery pack, the Rock Pals. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm gonna just check this and see if I can run that, because that would be awesome if I can. Okay, so this is actually fairly interesting. Let's get this recording for you. Well, right now my shadow is blocking part of the solar panel. If I move, I'm now running an input of 390 watts, while my output on that second generator is only 322 watts. So technically speaking, right now, I am adding more power to the generator than I'm using. Oh, it just spiked. Something just turned on inside. That was probably a compressor to a one of our freezers or something. But yeah, so right now I'm actually running a higher input into that generator than I am an output. So with the two generators working at different outputs, I might be draining the one generator faster, but I could almost set it up so that the slower usage generator is charging throughout the day, then flip-flop the cords. And I mean, there's no telling how long this would last if you did it this way. I mean, actually, this says 9 days, 14 hours right now with, that's the one that has the solar panel hooked up to it. The other one says 3 hours and 1 minute. So for longevity, what I'd have to do here is in a couple hours come out and flip-flop those and change my solar panel over to the other one and put a charge on it. So there's a way to manage the system to make this last for quite a while. Okay, EcoFlow, I'm officially impressed with your batteries. They've done more for me than any other solar panel setup that I have had. I could actually feasibly see how my family can rely on this system for about a week or more if we had to after a hurricane. Again, I would probably have my two little 1500 watt generators fueled up and ready to go to help keep these things charged, but I would only have to use them every now and then just to get me back up to full capacity. They're super quiet, so nobody else knows the resources that I have. That's really important to me. You know, security, when things go wrong, having security, having that peace of mind that not everybody knows what you have and so they don't target you, that's a very important thing. Of course, I'm doing this on YouTube, so if my neighbors watch, they probably know. Keep my eye out. And it's clean energy. You know, you're not burning fossil fuels. You don't have to rely on gas resources. I have other 100 watt solar panels. I could probably rig up a system here to really take this to the next level and give me, you know, another 300 watts of power, of solar power charging ability, and just, you know, make this thing last for a while. If it came down to it, I could do it. The reason why I wanted to do this review again is because I wanted this system for our RV. I also like having a solid backup system for our house, especially heading into hurricane season here in the next month or two. Hurricane season's been a little earlier each year. Now, the reason they wanted me to do this review is because right now they're having their spring sale, and the sale ends in a couple weeks. I put a link down below that'll take you to this particular setup, although you can look at the expansive setups. If I could have a choice in the matter, I would have gotten at least, you know, 2 more backup batteries, maybe 4, since each of those can handle 2 backup batteries and have a lot more power to last me a lot longer, and it would make things a lot more flexible. I could almost run my entire house with the acceptance of, you know, maybe the AC units, which in those type of situations, that doesn't matter that much to me. I'll put a fan in the window and open up the window. But this system is a fantastic system. It's expandable. You can turn it into a whole solar home if you really wanted to. If you use the code that I put down in the description, you get another 5% off, and I'll put it down in the comments. I'll put it in the comments. So you can get another 5% off whatever their current sale is. But it is a great product. I am thoroughly impressed with this product. And I've had a couple of these solar batteries and panels sent to me. I liked the RockPal ones. I used those more than I use anything else. I have one, I think it's from Ethel or a company like that, Ethel. And that's a great one too, but the technology of those batteries really doesn't even compete with the technology that's in the EcoFlow batteries. So even if you're looking for a smaller setup, the EcoFlow batteries are much better. You could get a 1500 watt, for about the size of my RockPal's 500 watt, you can get a 1500 watt. I mean, that's the same size as one of my small generators. You could do a lot with 1500 watts in a solar panel. So I think that EcoFlow, just in general, has better technology, and that's kind of how this entire sector is working, is it's coming out with new stuff, new technology, and they've really kind of nailed it with some of the stuff that they've been coming out with. I mean, I don't know if you watch any of the trade shows on this stuff. It kind of gets my interest every now and then, but they've got, you know, battery-powered lawnmowers, solar-powered lawnmowers, crazy stuff like that they've been putting out. And it's, you know, it's exciting to see ways that we could be more self-sufficient, ways that we can do without. If I could run our house off of these for an extended period of time, I would. Of course, you know, when I have stuff like this, I know that it works. My tendency is to store it away for when I absolutely have to have it. But I could probably run our house off the grid for a while if I wanted to cut back on our power bill, and it would work absolutely fine. You saw that it was able to run the dryer. It was maxing them out, but it was able to run the dryer. So if we just planned around that and ran the dryer, or, you know, maybe I figure out a way to put a transfer switch on the dryer and have it run to a different circuit with one of our generators. But this is a great system. I don't think that you could go wrong with it. I'm pretty excited about it, actually.